a little bit different, isn't it? Tomas had the idea that because NXT is opening up the forbidden door figuratively and that the product is getting a little bit better on the developmental side, they're not 2.0 anymore. They're not riddled by a tie-dye logo. Let's start reviewing some NXT shows. NXT Battleground 2024 emanating from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. That was a really cool setting for this show. But what made let's talk about this mindset. Like, why do you think we should start reviewing NXT now?
Yeah, so let's go into a little background. If you guys have been here since day one of these wrestling reviews, Zach actually started out with an NXT review with NXT in Your House. And here's the thing. We loved NXT from 2014 to 2021. NXT was just this groundbreaking, innovative, new thing that WWE, Triple H, I only want to give WWE all the credit. It was Triple H who had the idea that to take this dead reality show concept where they were training the new stars of WWE and let's turn it into its own little promotion. So he started running the show out of Full Sail University. It had a dark and grittier tone with the yellow ropes and the black tarp. Like, I miss the black canvas so much. And then we started getting bangers like Sami Zayn coming on the scene, fighting Claudio Castagnoli in an epic 2 out of 3 falls match, which is what got me into NXT. We got guys like Pac, we got guys like Bo Dallas, and then we got the Ascension, the Lucha Dragons, and then it just evolved into an entirely different beast of its own. You're talking Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, Shayna Baszler, Ruby Soho, just so many Robert
Kevin Owens,
Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you didn't say him. Yeah,
Zelina Vega, just like
Malachi Black, Ricochet,
Black,
Undisputed,
Ricochet, Adam Cole. Yeah, just like it was such a crazy anomaly. I think I said that word right. That Triple H basically created his own independent promotion, and from I want to say 2015 till 2021, NXT was dominating. People were looking more forward to those shows than Raw and SmackDown. And when the Big Four rolled around, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, it started out as just a house show in San Jose when we were there for WrestleMania 31, and it evolved into this entire beast of its own called NXT TakeOver. And every time SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble rolled around, we would get an NXT TakeOver, and these were the best pay-per-views I have seen a lot. I cannot name one NXT TakeOver that I did not enjoy.
Yeah, me neither, man. In a sense, Triple H building a grungy underground promotion basically from scratch. This is everything that WWE's version of ECW should have been during the Ruthless Aggression era. Like, again, and this is Paul Levesque's mindset here. This is why he's become the head of creative in WWE today, because of his work on NXT Black and Gold, bringing in the names like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre back into the fold, Finn Balor, Kenta as well. The list goes on and on,
Matt Riddle, Pete Dunne, FTR. Like,
we won't talk about Matt Riddle that much anymore.
You know what I mean, though. But all good things come to an end, and something very unfortunate happened in 2021. As we all know, Triple H had a very life-threatening heart condition that took him out for a few months. And while he was gone,
it retired him from entering competition.
And when Triple H went down with that sneaky little bastard Vince McMahon, he never liked NXT. He never got the appeal. Anytime a guy like a Rude or a Nakamura or a Balor got called up to the main roster, he knew nothing to do with them. Him and that other sneaky little bastard Bruce Pritchard, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. When AEW came on the scene, Triple H and Vince McMahon had the idea to put NXT on primetime television, take it off the WWE Network, and put it on USA Network to go head-to-head with AEW. And we all knew this was going to happen. AEW beat them in the ratings every week, and Vince McMahon took that as a defeat. He was ashamed about it, and to him, in his sick, twisted mind, he decided to overhaul the whole product. He released most of the stars. He got rid of the black and gold. He got rid of the yellow ropes, the black canvas, and he changed it to NXT 2.0. And let me tell you, it made me fucking sick to my stomach. It took the wind out of my sails. No more were the NXT takeovers where you would see guys like Ricochet or Cole or McIntyre or Andrade sitting in the audience being like, holy shit, look at this new guy that we signed.
Keith Lee.
Paul Gunn, Keith Lee. And it turned into Vince's weird fetish with gymnasts, former football players, male models, and he wanted to mold people that have never stepped foot in a wrestling ring before into his next stars, and it fucking just took the wind out of me. And
let me correct you real quick.
NXT fan.
Let me correct you real quick. It wasn't a new fad for Vince McMahon. He's always been into muscular athletes. Like those were
he was feeding into his fetish.
Braun Breaker, Von Wagner. I wouldn't even put Carmelo Hayes in that group because he's a little guy.
Despite all of that, there were 3 people that came out of that developmental system that just totally just like they flourished. Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, and Tiffany Stratton. Other than that, I remember the first episode of NXT 2.0. And even though there were still some guys left over, you had your Pete Dunnes, you had your Tommaso Ciampas, you had your LA Knights.
Gunther.
Yeah, you had your Guntas. But, I noticed that first episode of NXT 2.0, everybody had to have a fucking gimmick. You had Tony D'Angelo, who was the Italian guy. You had, Fabian Eichner that was repackaged as Giovanni Vinci, and he was like this male aficionado model. They tried to change LA Knight into Max Dupree. It fucking made me sick to my stomach. And I gave it a shot. I gave the first 3 episodes a chance. And the minute Ciampa dropped the title to
Braun Breaker, I think.
Braun Breaker. Yeah. When he dropped the title to Braun Breaker after the last War Games match where it was Black and Gold versus 2.0, I just quietly fizzled out. I didn't want to watch NXT anymore. I would love to sit here and say that everything got better and it went back to the way it was. Unfortunately, it didn't, but something great did happen. Vince McMahon was out, thank God. We don't have to rehash that again. And in came the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
He took the reins. He took over creative, and he basically was given this lump of shit and was like, let's see what I can do with this. He changed the 2.0 back to the original black and gold colors. And even though NXT hasn't truly, and I don't think it ever will, go back to its former glory, I think what Michaels has done with the product has finally made me look at it and go, this is good. The storylines are good.
Yeah.
The in-ring work is still phenomenal. That's one thing NXT that never changed. The in-ring work was always phenomenal. And Shawn Michaels just has this great way of molding these superstars and getting them ready for the main roster. It's crazy to think about it now. You look back at 1999 and D-Generation X threatening to take over the company. Look at us now. D-Generation X are running the show.
They are.
Again, I think we're at a happy medium. It's not black and gold, but it sure as hell isn't 2.0. Shawn Michaels is setting these guys up for success. And now we have guys like Trick Williams. Now we have women like Roxanne Perez. Now we have guys like Oba Femi. And even with this show especially, they are slowly but surely still saying, yes, it's great that we're developing our own talent, but there's still a lot of good free agents out there that we would love to have in our brand. Ethan Page, Brian Pillman Jr., who is now
Lexis King. I'm rooting for Lexis King so much, man. I see so much money in him. And let's not forget, they also brought back Sean Spears, the former Ty Dillinger in NXT Black and Gold, who I'm sure Tomas was very excited to see.
Yeah, he's not the perfect 10. He's the chairman like he was in AEW. Shawn Michaels isn't just going, oh, we're just going to go back to what made you over. He's letting these guys experiment with the new gimmicks. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. It's not a paradise. There are some things I do not like about NXT still, what's a good example? I had a good example. It was on the tip of my tongue. There's still a lot of green people in NXT. The tag team division isn't as great as it used to be. Some storylines, some gimmicks don't hit as hard as they should, but it's still a hell of a lot better than it was a couple years ago.
It is. I'll give you my biggest nitpick about NXT. Shawn Michaels, with his creative writing, really enjoys rehashing old storylines that worked in the past. Case in point, last year, before Stand and Deliver, when Roxanne Perez vacated the NXT Women's Championship, it was almost as if she lost her own smile. And that promo was very akin to what Shawn did back in the day. The storyline between Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley, very reminiscent of what we're talking about in the retros right now with Trish and Mickey James, with Tatum Paxley being a obsessed fan-like stalker. You know what I mean? Trick Williams coming out even, like, being Carmelo Hayes' old diesel, if you will, and rising up through the ranks, you know? That sort of thing.
But, you know, we've been yapping our gums about our memories of NXT, but the reason why I still, there was a time where I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I still kept tabs on it, and now I'm back to a regular viewer because when these guys get called up to the main roster, let's use Ilya Dragunov and Lyra Valkyria as examples. When they get brought up to the main roster, I want to know who they are. I don't want to just be like, who the hell is this girl or who the hell is this guy? I want to see them on the main roster and be like, holy shit, yeah, that guy, former NXT champion, tore the roof off the building with certain things. And that's why I wanted to keep tabs on NXT. There are still some times, honestly, NXT for me nowadays is like background noise. And trust me, I would love to go back to the days of 2018. I can't bring myself to watch the old takeovers because it's going to make me miss it too much.
Yeah. Well, we might get there if the retros get to a point where they're like, we're on this never-ending journey. Like, there may be a day down the line where Tomas and I do review the old takeovers as well. But
with that being said, when it comes to this show, there's another thing we need to bring up. The reason why NXT is the talk of the town right now, the forbidden door in WWE is finally open. We've seen it here and there. Yeah, Mickey James was in the Royal Rumble. Yeah, Jordynne Grace was in the Royal Rumble. But never has a TNA star been in a one-on-one match under a WWE umbrella. And we got this out of freaking nowhere. To everyone's shock, Jordynne Grace was announced to be the opponent of Roxanne Perez. And that's so fucking cool. It was so fucking cool to hear WWE openly acknowledge TNA and not a negative light. There were TNA chants in the building, and they were 100% warranted.
Yes. Yeah, it's Jordynne Grace standing in the ring with the Knockouts title belt. We'll get to her. We'll get to her in her match with Roxanne Perez later. But one thing that I do appreciate about NXT is that it still has this small indie feeling. Like, it still feels like it has its rabid fan base that is a loyal following, if you will. It still feels very intimate in nature. And the UFC...
There were days,
go ahead.
Even 2.0, where I'd be watching this and I'm like, you know what? Say what you want about the presentation. Say what you want about the wrestlers. The crowd is still fucking hyped.
Oh, yeah.
And I will never, ever take it away. Even in the 2.0 days, the in-ring work quality of NXT never died down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. In regards to the in-ring work on NXT Battleground, I don't want to sit here and say that this was a fantastic show or anything like that. I thought it was a good show, but there wasn't really anything eventful that happened here aside from one match and then the build leading up to it. The build, honestly, I found more eventful than the actual payoff itself.
Yeah, like, it wasn't a great show, but it wasn't a horrible show. Apparently, we're in the minority. Apparently, a lot of people enjoyed the show, and that's great. I love to see NXT flourishing. The last thing I want to hear is next week, NXT is doing so poorly, they're just going to shut it down and use the Performance Center to just like train guys like they used to do in FCW. I want to see NXT flourish, and I think NXT is in a great place now. But, you know, I definitely, even this year, I think Stand and Deliver was better than this show. I think St. Valentine's Day, St. Vengeance Day was better than this show.
Just Vengeance Day. It's not St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
While we're on the topic, I love how WWE has the properties to all these old pay-per-view names, and they're using it for NXT. All the old WCW names, Bash at the Beach, Great American Bash, War Games like they did in the past, Battleground that's been dead since like 2017. I think they've used, Vengeance Day, which is a playoff of Vengeance. It's cool to know that WWE, I would love to see NXT Unforgiven. I'd love to see NXT Armageddon. I would
also like to see some of these NXT names that are being used get called up to the main roster. You have no idea how much I would like to see a main roster Great American Bash again. Maybe not in terms of like the overall quality of the old time Great American Bash pay-per-views, because I know that Triple H can book a better show than Vince can, but I don't know. I feel like the sky's the limit in terms of possibilities. Like, they brought back Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal for Halloween Havoc as well, which I love.
Which will always be Shotzi's gimmick, and I love it for that.
Yes, Shotzi always hosting Halloween Havoc. But Battleground took place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, which is another. That's another thing with WWE's partnership, like basically with UFC now being under the same umbrella with Endeavor and TKO. That allowed them to run out of the UFC gym for this show, which was honestly a really interesting look and an interesting feel. The crowd honestly was pretty dead for this show, though. I'm not gonna lie. they were very quiet.
Like, this wasn't a very jacked NXT crowd. And I also respect Triple H and Shawn Michaels for not being afraid to take risks. Like, running a show here, that could have, I know it's hard to get away from their comfort zone, but I think that's really cool that they did that. I hope they do stuff like this on the main roster. I would love to see different venues. People are speculating, do you think WWE would run the what's it called? The Sphere? And Las Vegas? Like, that would be crazy.
That would be fucking awesome. That'd be fucking awesome.
You don't know. We don't know.
Could you imagine WWE World in the Sphere?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be fucking really cool. Awesome. But let's
get down to business in the show.
Yeah, we got 6 matches here. We open up with a ladder match for the new NXT Women's North American Championship. Shawn Michaels is introducing a mid-card title for the women's division. That is really cool. Main roster is next. Give me a Women's Intercontinental Championship, please.
Yeah. Allow me to say this right now. If there is one thing Shawn Michaels is doing better than anyone else in the game, it's his focus on the women. Oh my God. There are episodes of NXT with like 4 to 5 women's matches. They are developed. They have character. There are so many feuds outside the women's championships. And Shawn Michaels just gets women's wrestling. He does it better than Triple H. He sure as hell does it better than Tony Khan. And hell, I'll even go as far as saying I think he's doing it better than TNA. It is crazy how Shawn Michaels is just next to Japan. NXT is the best booked women's wrestling division. Like,
crazy, huh?
Anywhere.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. But the 6 participants here are Sol Ruca, who Tomas loves. Oddly enough, she wasn't wearing a Cinnamon Toast Crunch costume to the ring tonight. Jaida.
Well, she did. Dominic Mysterio wouldn't have recognized her.
Yeah. No, Dominic probably still wouldn't have recognized her. He's too busy with his side chick right now. We have Jaida Parker, whose gimmick is that she is a Grand Theft Auto character, basically.
OTM. She runs without the mud, without Scripps now, because Scripps is out of there, and I can't say that I'm upset.
Bye, Reggie. Would you
be intimidated by a man named Scripps?
No, I would just wonder where the lines are. Where's the dialogue? Where's the dialogue?
Named Reggie.
I'd be like, what about a man named Reginald?
No,
absolutely
not.
But anyway, you have Fallon Henley, you have Kelani Jordynne, who is that? You have Lash Legend, who is running around with Trick Williams right now, and Mia Yim. I'm not calling her Michin. She's Mia Yim.
Michin.
Always.
She's Michin.
She's always going to be Mia Yim to me. Yeah, it's all right.
Michin.
It's all right.
She likes the name.
Yeah. Smart choice for an opening contest. I'm going to let you start. What did you think of this?
I wanted more.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt.
This match went 12 minutes. This had the potential. There were some good spots here and there. But when the match ended, I was kind of like, really? That's the finish? The MVP of this match was Sol Ruca. And if you don't know about Sol Ruca, she is the most athletic, probably the most flexible woman I've ever seen in NXT.
God.
I don't know what her background is. I'll have to look it up after this, but she is like female Shelton Benjamin on crack. Her finisher is she runs up the top rope, does a backflip into a cutter. That is crazy. And she pulled that off twice in this match. First off the top rope and then off a ladder.
I cannot wait to see more out of Sol Ruca. She impressed the fuck out of me, man. She was probably the most... Yeah,
she's been out for a year due to injury, which was a shame, but it's great to see that she is back and she hasn't lost a step. And I'm glad Shawn Michaels has not forgotten about her. And she was my pick to win this match. So I wasn't just disappointed she didn't win. I just thought the finish was very flat. And I'm not saying every ladder match needs to have a million spots with backflips through 3 ladders, but I do, like we talked about with like Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, you can tell a story with a ladder. And I guess I wanted a little more of that.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from, but I also see why people were picking Sol Ruca to win this thing. I was picking Lash Legend, and I'll tell you why. Because she's got an ongoing on-screen romance going on with the NXT champion and Trick Williams, and honestly, the story writes itself. She wins this, and she gets to go celebrate with her world champion man. You know what I mean? Like it feels easy. But
And
no, Lash.
considering Trick Williams was just feuding with her faction, which is Metaphor, I think it could have worked. It could have worked a lot more there.
I get it now. It took me a minute to realize what metaphor even meant, and I was like, why is her faction called Metaphor? Is that a metaphor? Oh, yeah, metaphor. I get it. It's a metaphor.
What can I say? Noam Dar is a goddamn genius.
Yeah. He's a goddamn genius. And next time I see Noam Dar wrestle in the ring, I want to sing the Imperial March and chant his name.
You'll be the only one.
Fuck you. Yeah, the crowd will get into it. Lash Legend took a sick bump off of a ladder bridge, which did not break. That was probably the sickest spot in the entire match, I would say.
Yeah, it was. All of the women in the match military press her and throw her into the ladder. But I did kind of have an issue with this spot because after they do the spot, they all stand on the apron for a good 10 seconds just yelling at her. And I'm just like, hello, there's a championship up there. Would one of you take advantage of this? And I see the spot they were going for with this, but it was just like, they all look at each other and they go, oh, let's go get the title. And I'm like, I feel like that could have been. And here's my other issue with this match. I feel like I had the same issue with the Stand and Deliver that you attended. It's really hard with a lot of people. I don't want to call them green when they're still in development to be put in such a match that requires so much communication. I'll even say that Stand and Deliver was better than this.
Oh, I agree. And not just because I was there. And because it was very satisfying seeing Indy Hartwell win the title with the help of her man, Dexter Lumis. But I just feel like the work in that Stand and Deliver ladder match across the board was a lot better. It felt a lot more polished, probably because you had Roxy and Tiffany Stratton in there. But it's...
Yeah, and Indy Hartwell, who's been an NXT veteran for the past few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody here, this is everyone's first ladder match. I can't say much for Michin. Maybe she's done some ladder matches outside of WWE.
She took a sick bump also.
Wait, has she ever been in a Money in the Bank? I want to say no.
Probably. I mean, I don't remember off the top. I mean, you're gonna fact check that, I'm sure.
And you could tell that Michin was I don't want to say the mother goose, but like she was feeding in for everyone's spot. She was kind of helping out in the match, especially with this last spot here where Kelani Jordynne knocks her off a ladder and she goes to reach for the title, but she's too close. So she immediately jumps off the ladder. She goes to the top rope to do shooting star press, I think. And Michin she wasn't even subtle about it. She just put herself in position. Just like, don't worry, girl, I'm going to bump for you. But it's just like, you could tell Michin was in there just not. She was trying to hold it together.
She was guiding the greener girls in there. By the way, Sol Ruca's finisher is called the Soul Snatcher, which I think is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah,
that fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and
Soul Snatcher.
I was a little not disappointed with the outcome, just disappointed that this was the finish. After Jordynne hits that shooting star, or maybe it was a 450, I can't remember. She climbs up the ladder, she grabs the title, and she wins. Nothing against Jordynne. I think she's great. I love that they put the title on somebody that you weren't expecting, and I'm very excited to see where she goes with this title. But it was just like, I wanted more drama, maybe a few more. I don't know. It would have been cool to see Jordynne fight Lash Legend up there. It would have been cool to see her and Sol Ruca, who is the other favorite in this, maybe battle up there a little. They take a big bump off the ladder, and then that's the finish. But, you know, you don't really see that. That just spot felt like somebody was supposed to stop her.
To me, this felt like just another ladder match, and I feel like what holds the more famous multi-person ladder matches on a higher pedestal than this one, because I honestly kind of forgot that I watched this match the night after. I'm going to be completely honest. No disrespect, but the thing is, like, there wasn't really any drama involved in the match. There weren't any false finishes, really, except for Michin getting pushed off by everybody. Like, that was the closest thing to a false finish that I saw, but other than that, I mean, Kelani Jordynne winning, it's really a toss-up at this point. You could have given this title to anybody. The crowd was chanting, you deserve it for her, but
Yeah, so good for Jordynne. You know, Ruca could have won it because she's very over. Legend is getting very over, and again, with her faction, she could have benefited from this. Fallon Henley just turned heel, and she's kind of on this self-redemption path right now. It could have been cool for her. Jaida Parker's great. Michin, who has never captured a championship in WWE, that could have been a cool full story moment for her. She could have came on to SmackDown with the OC and like bragged about winning that championship there. She could have given that championship some mainstream attention right away. But I'm not losing sleep over this. This was fine. I'm gonna give the match 3 stars.
Matching it.
I wanted more, and especially when you're given 12 minutes for a ladder match.
Yeah, this match needed more time. Like, in order to like develop like, you know, the spots a little bit more, make the match mean a little bit more, make the title especially mean a lot more, you had to go longer and you had to add those dramatic moments in there. But this match didn't really have them, unfortunately.
All I'm gonna say is Shawn Michaels, take notes, Money in the Bank. Take notes during the ladies match. Maybe maybe you'll learn a thing or two. And that's a shame because I feel like multi-person ladder matches are kind of a staple of NXT. Who could forget the inaugural one for the NXT Men's North American Championship? Like, that's up there with one of the greatest multi-man ladder matches of all time. Right up there with Mania 31 and 32.
None of those men are no longer with the company, by the way.
Nope.
Yeah. But what good timing, seeing as how Ricochet was just murdered by Braun Breaker. But anyway,
so
what do we have next?
Here's another thing I noticed about this pay-per-view. They must have been doing a lot of cleanup in between matches because there were considerably very large gaps in between matches where nothing was going on. No backstage segments, no, there were some shots of the crowd where they would show like various UFC fighters, but I noticed they played a whole ass top 10 greatest commentator call-outs of the year. And I'm just like, what an odd place to put this. You don't see this on any other WWE pay-per-view. And I'm like, do they really need that? I get it for the NXT Underground match because that match took a lot of setup. But after a ladder match, you think they would just need like one commercial segment or one backstage segment to get everything ready for the next match.
I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that top 10 pop up and I legit thought my TV had glitched. I was like, did it switch over to YouTube? Like, because I remember watching that same exact countdown on YouTube, like, earlier on in the day. And then I'm watching it again, and I'm like, did it just go straight to my history? What happened? What happened here?
Remember the OG WWE Network? I miss the OG WWE Network. Where they had that 24/7 stream of content, and those were, like, the bumpers in between.
Yeah.
It reminded me of something like that. And I was just sitting there saying, like, I have no issue with this, but it's like, why do they need, like, almost like 3 to 5 minutes? It's crazy.
Because there's a bunch of ladders in there. They don't have experienced ring crew to clean up.
Shawn Michaels, take notes from Clash of the Castle. Maybe
only 5 matches as well. So,
hey, I like that this show had 6 matches. Again, one extra match makes a huge difference. Up next for the NXT Tag Team titles, we have Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson from Friday Night SmackDown challenging Nathan Frazier and Axiom, the champions.
Hey, Tomas. Would you be intimidated by a man named Axiom?
I would.
Yeah? Would you be intimidated if he ever came up to you with geometry lessons?
Yes.
Because that's his whole gimmick, is that he's geometry, he's angles, that's what he is.
Another example of, this was a Vince gimmick. He took A-Kid and said, you need a gimmick. And he slapped the mask on him, gave him the entrance is cool, the presentation is cool, and I think Axiom has done great with this. I think he's a great high flyer. You could throw him right in there with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, and you wouldn't notice any difference. He's very smooth in the ring. He's great. The build to this match was a little weird because so many teams have been thrown into this. I know OTM was going after Frazier and Axiom. I know Gallows and Anderson were. Gallus was going after them. And, this kind of screamed fatal 4-way tag team match. But then when they came out, I was like, really? It's just 2-on-2? I mean, I'm fine with that, but I would have appreciated a match with a little more chaos. So, there was really not much to this build. And I know I'm in the minority when I say this, but that's an issue I have with NXT. Over-reliance on main roster talent.
Yeah, they bring in the OC nerds to challenge for the NXT Tag Team titles when they're honestly not really doing a whole lot on the main roster anyway. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with Gallows and Anderson in this spot because I love them. I've loved them for years. They're one of my favorite tag teams probably ever. I don't know. It just makes me wonder why you're not using these guys in the AJ Styles feud really that much. in the
Yeah,
AJ
and it
Styles
makes me
Cody Rhodes
wonder
feud, rather.
because Gallows and Anderson, I've heard them in several interviews, and it's very wishy-washy. First, you have Anderson saying, fuck WWE, I'm never going back there. And then he resigns with WWE. And then Anderson saying, well, we got this sweet-ass deal where if we're not being used, we don't have to come to TV. So they got that. And then literally in the same interview, you have Gallows saying, we're going to go back to Japan one day. And then you have Anderson, of all people, saying, no, I think we're going to retire in WWE. So
Make up your mind, boys.
Yeah.
Make up your mind, boys.
Come on, Machine Gun.
Yeah. So I thought the match was good. I thought it was a solid enough wrestled tag team match. I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking or anything. The heels, I guess you can call the OC the heels here. They isolated.
Gallows and Anderson are totally heels.
Yeah, they put the heat on the Geometry Kid Axiom, which, boy, yeah, him and Nathan Frazier, that's a random tag team, isn't it?
Let's talk about Nathan Frazier for a second.
Random ass tag team.
I think he's great. I think he has a lot of energy. I think he has good charisma. He's a fantastic athlete, but I have two issues with him. Number one, I could not stand how he came into NXT and they said, this is Seth Rollins' boy. Seth Rollins trained this guy personally.
Yeah.
You're putting so much pressure on him now. And it's just like, you can't expect him to be the next Seth Rollins because there's only one Seth Rollins.
Did he actually train at Seth's school?
I think he did, yeah. He was like Seth Rollins' star pupil.
I'm looking this up. And also, like, to that point, I'm sure you're going to talk about this, but him actually incorporating a lot of Seth Rollins isms into his promos. Like, remember the late 2010 Seth Rollins? You don't have any, you don't have Nathan Frazier coming out with any drip yet, but you have him interrupting the OC boys with a promo saying, nah, we're not doing this. And I'm like,
which is a cool callback, but
yeah, didn't I just see Seth do that like 5 years ago?
Like let this kid develop his own identity. And you know, I look at his in-ring work is very reminiscent of Seth Rollins, I think. Hell, he even uses one of Seth Rollins' signatures. And I think his gear looks a little like Rollins. His hair looks like Rollins.
The Phoenix Splash is his finishing maneuver, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my other issue is I would love to see WWE let this guy just give him a chance, because I feel like they want to push him, but they don't, because they put the Heritage Cup Championship on him just to take it away from him in a dusty finish, and he never regained it back. Yeah. And then now he's a tag team champion, which is fine. I think him and Axiom make a great duo, but there's a ceiling to that. And the minute they drop these tag team titles, I want to see him, I don't know, go for the NXT title. Because I think Nathan Frazier, by this time next year, should get called up to the main roster.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. And by the way, yes, he was Seth Rollins' star pupil at the Black and the Brave school. Only 25 years old, by the way. Yeah, no, this guy's ceiling is incredibly high, considering that he's very young in a business where, honestly, nowadays, you can wrestle all the way into your mid-50s and be perfectly fine. You know, look at what The Rock is doing right now. You know, The Rock came out of retirement, and he's, like, 52 now.
So I don't know what the deal is with Frazier. I don't know if they're slow burning him on purpose, but, you know, I would like to see him just because I love his charisma. I think he's a good promo. I think his theme song is great. You know, he has all the tools, but I think the machine just needs to get behind him a little more. I would love a Nathan Frazier versus Trick Williams match. I would love a Nathan Frazier versus Oba Femi match. Let this guy go for some singles gold. Yeah. I feel like he needs to hold some singles gold before he goes to the main roster, because if he doesn't, I don't think he's going to be ready. Because trust me, even though I said all of that, I want to see a Rollins versus Frazier match sometime down the line.
At some point, yeah.
Student, that'd be fucking sick.
I'm sure that's his dream match. Like, I'm almost positive, without even knowing the guy or, like, hearing a guy's, like, one of the guy's interviews or one of his promos. Like, I can almost guarantee you that his dream match is to wrestle Seth Rollins in WWE. But
remember when Seth Rollins fought Umberto on that episode of Raw, and it was really damn good? That's what I want Frazier to do.
Yep. Oh, man, yeah. Hopefully Nathan Frazier pans out better than Umberto did. But with that said, Frazier does get the hot tag. Machine Gun actually does hit a TKO slam, an avalanche TKO slam to Axiom. Some good near falls close to the end of this thing. It was solid enough. I don't think the OC nerds hit a magic killer at all. Axiom does hit a Spanish fly, which honestly, because I don't know why people are like comparing him to A-Kid, because this guy doesn't look British whatsoever. He hits a Spanish fly. If he was British, it would be called the British fly. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you know,
I hope
so
A-Kid's doing all right. I haven't seen him in a few years.
I haven't seen A-Kid in quite some time, probably since the pandemic, actually.
Yeah, great wrestler. Hope
Yeah,
he's
I
still
know.
wrestling.
Yeah. I hope he's still wrestling. I hope he's doing okay.
Dream tag team match. Get this: Axiom and A-Kid versus Sami Zayn and El Generico.
Oh man,
awesome.
I mean,
fucking sweet.
I would love to see Sami Zayn and El Generico in the same room before that happens, but we'll see.
Get this: in Zayn and Generico's corner, Kevin Owens. In Axiom and A-Kid's corner, Super Dragon.
You're killing me. You're killing me. But anyway, Nathan Frazier, as we alluded to, nails Carl Anderson with the Phoenix Splash for 3. 3 1/4. That was solid enough. I wouldn't say it's anything like fantastic or anything. I thought it was solid. It was good.
I think I'll give this a 3 as well. It was fine, but the crowd wasn't really into it, and for a second I thought Gallows and Anderson were going to win these titles, which I wouldn't be against. Give them something, I swear. Now that we have 2 sets of tag team titles, at one point, why they got to be WWE Tag Team Champions again?
At some
they got to
point,
hold these titles some point, because they've been back for what, a year, and I feel like they haven't done anything.
Like almost 2 years. Almost 2 years, I think. Yeah, no, I think.
Holy shit!
I don't even remember if they. Oh God, like. I think their last pay-per-view match was a big tag team contest at Crown Jewel 2022, right when Triple H took
against the Judgment Day.
Yeah, it was the OC and AJ against the Judgment Day. That's what it was. Yeah, it was building up to AJ and Finn's one-on-one match at Survivor Series that year. I remember now. Yeah, it was AJ. Yeah,
this was fine, but I want to see Frazier and Axiom drop these titles to an actual team, and then hell, I don't know, maybe turn Frazier heel.
Yeah, I think Nathan Frazier would be a great heel. Yeah. Axiom's a much better babyface, but in any regard, up next we have NXT Underground, Shayna Baszler against Lola Vice. Do you want to describe to the viewers what NXT Underground is? Because it feels very akin to the infamous Raw Underground phase that we saw during the pandemic with Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon leading a fight club. He has Omos as his bouncer, and that's how we're introduced to Omos, is through Raw Underground. You have these guys who aren't really doing anything on Raw going to this fight club. Shane McMahon is trying to take them under his wing, and he's teaching them how to miff those punches on Randy Orton. And they're having these really, not brawl-for-all like shoot fights, but they're worked like shoot fights.
It just felt like an underground fight club. And, I was just listening to Steven Larson's podcast of the weirdest ideas in WWE, and I have to agree with them. Raw Underground wasn't a terrible idea. It was just executed very weirdly. And if you would have taken those McMahonisms away from it, I thought it would have been fine. So I think it's not a horrible idea that Shawn Michaels wanted to give this a shot for himself. I think he's doing a better job with it. So it's basically, there's no ring ropes, there's no ring poles. It's just 2 people in the ring, very candid.
Or on the ring in this case. Or on the ring.
Beating the shit out of each other. You cannot win by pinfall. There's no disqualifications, no countouts. You can only win by submission or knockout. It's basically WWE's take on MMA fighting mixed in with a little street fighting. It can be done correctly. It's just very awkward to execute, because I think Greg said it best during his live stream. It is very hard to do a work shoot fight. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this look like, oh, it's MMA, it's UFC, so it's real. They're, beating the shit out of each other. But how do you stage a UFC fight? Have you ever watched MMA?
You don't.
Lots of grappling, holding them on the ground, and just waiting for an opportunity to either lock on a submission or hit that knockout blow. There's a reason why I'm not into MMA. Nothing into it, but it's just a lot of waiting around until somebody gets that one punch or that one submission.
Yeah, kind of like watching a last man standing match, right? But with that,
nothing like that.
You're waiting around. You're waiting around, aren't you?
So basically, the story here is Shayna Baszler took Lola Vice under her wing after Legado del Fantasma got called up to the main roster. And Baszler's been a mentor to Lola Vice, but it has not been working out. Vice has been losing all of her matches. Lola Vice lost the match to Natalya and their blow off on NXT. So Shayna Baszler just snapped and beat the shit out of Lola Vice. They got into a big fight, and NXT general manager Ava came out and said, you know what? We're going to do this at Battleground. But then Lola Vice grabbed the mic and said, nope, we're doing this NXT Underground style. So it's a grudge match. Baszler has a lot of MMA experience, so
as does Lola Vice. Lola Vice is also a former MMA fighter. Yeah.
Oh shit! I did not know that. So this basically works very well together. This match, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really much to it because again, they're trying to work a UFC fight. There was some more WWE stuff near the end of it, where like they brawled outside of the ring and they started slamming each other into the steel steps. But other than that, like, I thought it was fine. It was passable. It wasn't like horrible. It's not like they were in there tripping over each other. And
yeah.
It was no Brock Lesnar versus what's his face.
Frank Mir?
No, that one fucker that came in for one match.
Brock Lesnar
wrestled in Mexico. And then he got arrested.
Oh, Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez. Yeah, no.
Hero, Cain Velasquez, because he tried to murder a pedophile, and I love him for that.
Yeah. No, that actually happened very close to my hometown, believe it or not. Yeah,
I remember hearing
freaking
about
crazy.
That.
Yeah, and they
homie Velasquez, he did nothing wrong.
Yeah, Cain Velasquez did nothing wrong. Put that on the hashtag somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice have some very physical exchanges in this thing. To your point, they do brawl to the outside. Shayna Baszler does take a bump on the ring steps while she's locking in the Kirifuda clutch. Lola Vice then takes advantage, is bringing down the hammer a few times, the hammer fist, and the referee stops the match at 10 minutes, awards it to Lola Vice, and Shayna Baszler then stops selling the brutality. You just killed the gimmick. You killed the gimmick, sweetie. Like, yeah. Like if you're gonna sell it being a knockout, like actually be in no man's land. Don't wake up be confused. Like that's a huge problem. Yeah, but
I like the outcome because people have been bringing up a really good point. Bringing these main roster talents to NXT, they should be putting over the new stars. And I think this was a huge win for Lola Vice. I think this kind of legitimized her a little. And again, Shawn Michaels is really good at developing these stars. So this was a great blow off. Shayna Baszler, this is what I'm going to say about Shayna Baszler. It's a shame she's not the killer she was in the previous iteration of NXT.
Yeah, remember that? I was about to ask you. Yeah.
But she seems to have a place now in WWE. And it's really up to her whether she's satisfied with that or not.
Yeah.
If she is, I think she could be a great hand for years to come. She could be a trainer at the Performance Center. But if she wants to bet on herself like everyone else, I get that too. I feel like I gave it so many chances. And I'm not saying I'm giving up on Baszler. I'm just accepting the fact that she has hit her ceiling a long time ago, and there's no coming back from it.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're presented as a vampire in the build to your match with Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, of course you're going to have a ceiling. As long as Shayna Baszler doesn't pull what her friend Ronda Rousey has been doing in recent months, then I think she's going to be just fine. And I think her relationship with WWE is going to be, nothing but cream and roses from this point forward. And I also will say, I did like this match more than the MMA rules match that she had with Ronda at SummerSlam.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, this match was 1,000%. Way better. Way better.
I'll give it 2 3/4 stars. It was passable. It was fine.
Yeah, that's about as good as I can give it. Like, if I'm being really generous, like, if I had more fun with it, I'd be willing to give it 3 stars. But again, with what you were saying, there was a lot of waiting around. It's like I was watching a Last Man Standing match. I'm waiting for the knockout to happen,
No, but that's nothing like a Last Man Standing match.
It sort of is. It sort of is.
Cody and Styles were having a Last Man Standing match on Saturday instead of an I Quit match.
No, and I Quit and I Quit match is way better, my friend.
Debatable.
Much more entertaining. But this match was entertaining. Here we go.
And the following match are tied for my match of the night. And I'm still sitting here deciding which one it is. You have Wes Lee, the Cardiac Kid, the Giant Killer, as I like to call him, taking on Joe Coffey of Joe Coffey of Gallus. Oba Femi for the NXT North American Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I fucking love Oba Femi.
You
This
can
dude
tell. You can tell that
is
he's a
a
cuck for Oba Femi.
beast. He
Yep,
is the winner of the NXT Breakout Tournament of 2024, I believe. I think this year it was. They did the tournament.
I think
Either it was
so.
this year or last year.
Something like
But
that.
he cashed in his championship match against Dragon Lee and won the North American title. Very bold. Very bold to be putting a title on a guy this soon instead of a more established name that NXT is used to doing. But this guy has all of the tools. This guy, imagine if you shrunk down Omos like a foot and he could move and he could work. That's Oba Femi. This dude is intimidating. This dude has presence. He has power. He has speed. He has agility. Put all your money on Oba Femi now. This dude is awesome.
This dude is very awesome. And it honestly is kind of harkening back to when Brock Lesnar first arrived on the scene. I know that is a huge, huge compliment to give a guy who I've barely been watching a year. But Oba Femi, like, how do you look at a guy with this build, a former offensive lineman for the University of Alabama? How do you look at this guy with this much aura and the physique that he has? And how do you not push him to the stars? Like, how do you not do it? That's what I'm wondering. It's like him and Braun Breaker both are like contenders for like monster pushes within the next year or so.
They really are. And I love this guy's voice. He is so intimidating every time he's on the mic. And push him like a fucking monster. I think he's doing great with Wes Lee has returned from injury after almost a year. He was supposed to challenge Dominic Mysterio for the NXT North American Championship before he was taken out. If you want to, Wes Lee is the best booked underdog like in WWE right now. This guy came out in tears, like shoot tears, because he couldn't challenge for the championship. He wanted back, and I felt for that. I love Wes Lee so much. He's back now. He wants to reclaim what's his, and Wes Lee's another guy. Give him a few more months. He's going to be on the main roster, and he's going to be super over.
I've been thinking for a couple of years that Wes Lee was ready for the main roster when he was teaming with now Zachary Wentz from TNA as MSK. I love that team. Love that team in NXT.
I loved how Shawn Michaels gave him a shot as a singles guy, and he is flourishing. So I think a little more time as a singles guy, and he'll be great. I remember when I first saw him as Desmond Xavier in TNA, and I thought he was great there. So it's great to see Wes Lee thriving the way he is. Joe Coffey of Gallus. Gallus is back on the scene after a few months, and it's basically they just want the championship. And I think there was a match where I think Wes and Coffey pinned each other. So Oba Femi got on the mic and said, "I'll fight you both," and I love that. I love
fucking bold
this rare case of a heel saying, "Yeah."
That was my next question. Oba Femi's supposed to be a heel,
Oba
right?
Femi did not say that. Femi was in Ava's office, and he said, "Who am I fighting?" And Ava said, "Both of them." And Oba Femi just goes, "Okay," and walks out.
Yeah, he was just asking for verification on his opponents for the pay-per-view. Yeah, and that's a rare breed of a heel right there. Assuming my assumptions are correct, that Oba Femi is indeed a bad guy. I couldn't really tell.
I wouldn't say he's just a monster heel.
Because, like, look at it. Look at this. Wes Lee, clearly a babyface. Joe Coffey with his stable of British goons, clearly a bad guy. Oba Femi was very much in the middle. I mean, he could definitely be presented as a monster heel that's just Goldberging his way through the ranks, just unstoppable. But he could also be like, again, I hate to compare him to this, but he could also be like a babyface, unstoppable Ryback type. You know what I mean? Like just bulldozing his way through the competition.
With so much better ring presence.
Yes, yeah. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Oba Femi is so much. He's miles better than Ryback ever was in the ring. I'll tell you that much right now.
Femi is that really blurs the lines. Is he's very over with the crowd.
Yeah,
very over.
Did you watch his Hoss fight triple threat from Stand and Deliver? Holy crap! Yeah, him, Josh Briggs, and Dijak beating the crap out of each other. Like, God, I don't know if I liked this match or the Hoss fight triple threat more. I think it just depends on what you like.
Yeah, for sure. This one was great because it had a little, you say Oba Femi is the powerhouse, Wes Lee is, the high flyer. Joe Coffey is that perfect in the middle. I thought he hung with these guys very well. I know what people were thinking. Why hasn't Joe Coffey been called up to the main roster? Well, kind of got himself into some trouble a few years
Little
ago.
bit.
And I say the longer he stays in NXT, the better.
Yeah.
He needs to work that debt off.
Yeah.
So I'm not offended, but when Gallus gets up to the main roster, they're going to be a force to reckon with too.
Totally.
It's a shame that the Coffey brothers had to bring Wolfgang down with them, because I think they've been ready for a while. But again, they got some debt to work off.
Yeah. I see what you're saying there. And plus, with the Forbidden Door being open and with Oba Femi retaining his championship in this match, with the angle that they're shooting between the Gallus boys and Wes Lee, I realized that the new Catch Republic boys came in and offered to team up with Wes Lee, which honestly makes sense given the British independent wrestling scene history that they have with the Gallus boys. But man, I'd love to see the Rascals reunite. I'd love to see them go up against the Gallus boys and have like just this big, gigantic 6-man brawl.
And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, that's stupid, they're not going to do that. Well, the next match is going to prove otherwise, because the door has been creaked, but I feel like it's been busted open now.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
I'm not talking about Bubba Ray Dudley when I say busted open.
You fucking asshole. But anyway, just, I feel like this was a great showcase of the best things that all three guys can do. Definitely was a nice little blend of each little type of style that NXT is known for. The Gallus boys do come in and run interference. They're beating up Oba Femi on the outside. Wes Lee is left all alone. Wes Lee is just, again, perfect underdog, right? He's fighting from underneath. Wes Lee does this beautiful dive over the top onto Mark and Wolfgang to eliminate them from the equation. Oba Femi lifts Joe up, tosses him down to the canvas. Femi catches Wes Lee with a pop-up powerbomb, and then he hits another pop-up powerbomb on Joe for the decisive victory. This match got 12 minutes. I thought it was a very good triple threat at 3.5 stars. I wouldn't, again, thinking about it more, I don't think it was as good as the Haas fight from Stand and Deliver, which I probably would have given 4 stars. That was outstanding. But yeah, this one was really good.
All of these, not a single match hit the 15-minute mark. So I feel like a lot of these matches could have flourished with like at least 3 more minutes at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But I thought this was great. It was a great retention of the title for Oba Femi. I'm torn because I just praised the hell out of Oba Femi, and I would love for him to go on a monster run with this. But Wes Lee is the giant killer. Wes Lee has a story to finish. I would love to see Wes be the guy to dethrone Oba Femi. I would love to see it.
That would be great. That'd be really great, but you also got to think about this. Who was the first person to beat Brock Lesnar in his ascension to the top in 2002?
Big Show.
Another giant. Yeah. So I feel like, as much as I'd love to see Wes Lee, finish his story, if I could use a Cody term for a second, and fight from underneath and slay the giant, that'd be cool. But given who's booking this show, Shawn Michaels, and how he likes to rehash old storylines, I think it's more likely that we see a Josh Briggs take the title off of Oba Femi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But sky's the limit for Oba Femi, and sky's the limit for all the guys in this match. This was super fun.
Can't wait.
Match that 3.5 stars.
Yeah, can't wait to see
next match.
Yeah, can't wait to. One last thing, can't wait to see where Oba Femi goes from here. And I had a question for you. Do you happen to see that picture that was circling around on social media of Oba Femi biting the strap of the North American Championship, and that's how he was holding it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. What a fucking monster!
It's he's like a blend of the best things that Brock Lesnar did with his athleticism, the best things Umaga did with his athleticism and his presentation, and the personality of Omos. It's like a great blend of all three,
Oh yeah, sky's the limit for Oba Femi. But this next match is kind of the whole reason we really wanted to watch this show.
Yep.
Take it away.
It's for the NXT Women's Championship. My girl, Roxanne Perez, my favorite on the roster right now, defending against TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace. We did talk about Jordynne Grace a little bit in the Royal Rumble match. She kind of creaked open the forbidden door to enter number 5 and have an interaction with her old pal Naomi. But now here she is in a huge shocker, challenging Roxanne Perez for the belt. The crowd was chanting TNA very loudly at the start. It was surreal to hear ring announcer Mike Rome say the initials TNA in one of his big match announcements, like, that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me. I've been hearing Mike Rome announce for a long time, and I've never heard him say the TNA initials, and I'm like, okay, forbidden doors open.
It was weird hearing Michael Cole say TNA at the Royal Rumble. If there's one thing I want WWE to be more comfortable with, I would have loved during the match if they would have said, oh, you know, we talk about Roxanne Perez and her accomplishments. Well, look at Jordynne Grace. She won the title from Naomi, and she is successfully defended against this person and this person and this person in TNA. Like, start name dropping. It's okay to name drop.
It's okay.
I just think, I know they're still getting comfortable with this concept, but I would like to see more acknowledgement of the company they came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like other than acknowledging she's the TNA Knockouts champion, they don't talk about TNA during this match, except for one spot. Maybe we'll get to that. I thought this was very hard hitting. These ladies were
great.
Very stiff with each other.
Yeah,
Jordynne. At one point, Jordynne Grace got knocked in the side of the head, and her earring got ripped out of her ear and got caught in Perez's fishnets.
Yep. And there was a lot of
Grace's ear. I'm like, fuck, did she just fucking rip her ear in half?
A lot of blood in this match.
Did Grace get her tooth knocked out? I'm like, oh no, it would have been really bad if she got her tooth knocked out. Could you imagine her having to get a tooth implant, go back to TNA and be like, and have whoever's running TNA be like, what the fuck did they do to you over there? Like, NXT, they don't fuck around, man.
Nope, they don't fuck around. And she actually did jokingly post on Twitter that she's like, well, I tried to fight it for the longest time, but now this is where I have to retire wrestling with the earrings. And
you know what?
Yeah.
When I saw that her earring got ripped off, that's the first thing I said to myself. Why are you wrestling with earrings on in the first place?
Right? Yeah, I don't know, man. I have a question for you. What do you think of Roxanne Perez as a heel?
I like it a lot more than I thought I would. Because when she first turned heel, I was like, they just did this with Cora Jade. Like, they're kind of rehashing. But I think the way she's presenting herself has been really well. The whole build to this has been, oh, Jordynne Grace this, Jordynne Grace that. Like, why? What did I do to deserve this? I fought tooth and nail to get back my championship that I never lost, and I'm being punished by being put in the ring with Jordynne Grace. So she's kind of like, you know, putting herself on this pedestal, so to speak, and saying things like, oh, what about my troubles? What about all obstacles I've overcome? Just being a real pretentious little brat. And I think it's coming off very well. She's definitely taking inspiration from AJ Lee. And considering she's been working very closely to CM Punk lately, I'm sure Punk has given her some. I'm pretty sure Punk knew in advance, oh, they're turning you heel. Come learn from the best.
Yeah, I would honestly say that, like, I mean, AJ Lee is AJ Lee. Like, she's, you know, one of a kind, a legend in women's wrestling, if you ask me. If I'm being completely honest, AJ Lee was way ahead of her time. But Roxanne Perez, I'll do you one better. I feel like she's taken inspiration from Alexa Bliss, specifically her goddess gimmick from the late 2010s. And Roxanne Perez hasn't outright said the word goddess on screen. Obviously, you know, you don't want to copy it tooth and nail, but Roxanne Perez, like, just her whole attitude and her swagger coming out, her shorter stature also certainly helps with the Alexa Bliss comparisons. But I see a lot of Alexa Bliss in her, and I think
and again, I would love to see, like, I know you said this with another wrestler, but I think, like, Booker T would be a great mouthpiece for her because Booker T trained her. And Booker T is putting her over like crazy on
Roxanne Perez. Booker T's
when she won the championship.
Yeah, from Mandy Rose, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That's who she first won the title from. Yeah, that's right. Booker T also on commentary ever since Roxanne Perez has turned heel. There was a point early on where Roxanne Perez pokes Jordynne Grace in the eye, and Vic Joseph was like, oh, and Roxanne with a blatant poke to the eye, and Booker T was like, what? Oh, I didn't see that, dog. I didn't see that.
Let me say this now.
Shucky ducky.
I don't get people who don't like Booker T as a commentator.
What?
I think he is great. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think he's better than Taz.
What'd you say, Cole? What'd you say, Cole? You saying Booker T's better than me?
Call the freaking match. I am calling the freaking match. Don't do me. Come over there and knock your teeth down your throat like Taz. 2 words: anger management.
Well, I hope somebody has Dr. Shelby on speed dial if he needs to go to anger management. But
anywho, I thought this match was very good. I thought
match of the night. Match of the night.
Jordynne Grace was showing off her power, her strength. I think Perez was working with her very well. These women clicked very well together. And then near the end of the match, some people may have not liked it. I liked the advancing of the storylines because, again, that forbidden door. So we're getting near the end of the match. Jordynne Grace does fail a juggernaut driver attempt. And during that, Tatum Paxley comes out. And it looks like she's going to steal the NXT Women's Championship.
No, she tried to steal the TNA Women's title. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. I'm sorry. Keep going.
It looked like she was going to steal the NXT Women's Championship, but no. She wants the Knockouts Championship. And the minute I said that, I said, fuck yes. Steal the title and go run to Impact. I want to see Tatum Paxley show up on TNA Impact with the Knockouts Championship, and Jordynne Grace has to go get it back from her.
How about Jordynne Grace versus Tatum Paxley at Against All Odds?
Yeah. It's got to be a two-way trade. And Tatum Paxley, why the fuck not? It'd be really cool to see her on a TNA show.
She doesn't have Lyra Valkyria anymore. Triple
H has already confirmed that NXT stars are allowed to work indie dates just as long as they're pre-approved. Josh Briggs showed up at an indie show. I think Tiffany Stratton has worked some indie shows. Shayna Baszler worked Bloodsport, WrestleMania weekend. So why not have Tatum Paxley go to TNA? But to even add more spice to this, as she's running away with the Knockouts title, Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance.
Ash by Elegance.
I know that I was saying both for people who don't watch TNA. So we're going to go into a little crossover here. Dana Brooke got let go from WWE. She debuted in TNA Impact as Ash by Elegance, and she has been feuding with Jordynne Grace on TNA. So the fact that Ash by Elegance, yes, absolutely. The fact that Ash by Elegance showed up at NXT to further her feud with Jordynne Grace, honestly, you know what that makes me do as a fan? It makes me say, hell, you know what? I want to tune into TNA Impact on Thursday and see where that feud is going. It is great crossover. It is great promotion for both brands. Ash tries to take the title from Paxley. She does, and she knocks out Paxley with the title. And then Grace shows up and knocks down Ash by Elegance. Unfortunately, that is to her downfall. Grace gets back in the ring. Perez hits Pop Rocks and retains the NXT Women's Championship. I thought this was booked perfectly. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars as well. This and the triple threat are tied for my match of the night. This was a win for everybody. It was a win for NXT. It was a win for TNA. I want more of this.
This was my favorite match on the show. I'm going to go 3.5 stars as well. I thought it was a terrific match. It definitely could have been better. There definitely could have been some more drama because, again, they didn't even get 15 minutes. I feel like if these ladies got 20, you would have had a contender for Women's Match of the Year. But I feel like they're saving that energy for when Roxanne Perez eventually crosses paths with Julia. Julia, who was teased at Stand and Deliver. It has to be. Tune in for Heatwave, Money in the Bank weekend. But Roxanne Perez, again, I love her offensive arsenal. I love her athleticism in the ring. Her finishing maneuver, Pop Rocks, is a very fun move and a very fun name, might I add. Jordynne Grace also holding her own as the powerhouse in there. She did hit a muscle buster at one point, which is a move that has been banned from WWE for quite some time. Jordynne Grace,
it's been greatly modified now. It is no longer a brain buster. It's just a falling suplex, which I'm like, good. Yeah. If you want to see an old school muscle buster, just watch Samoa Joe and Ring of Honor, and you will get all of your muscle buster needs there.
Or Samoa Joe and old TNA.
Yeah. There's no reason why an OG muscle buster needs to be used in today's day and age.
No.
Don't believe me? Go ask Tyson Kidd. He's backstage all the time. He will tell you exactly why the muscle buster got banned.
Yep. That's the reason why the muscle buster, the original muscle buster, ended Tyson Kidd's career. Exactly right. So, I thought this match was great. Roxanne Perez, again, sky's the limit for her. Can't wait to see more Jordynne Grace in WWE. I think it's inevitable that when Jordynne Grace's time with TNA ends, full-time WWE worker, 100%.
100%. The only thing is, you're going to have to wait a while. Apparently, she still has like a year and a half left on her TNA deal, but that's great. She'll be prime and ready to go. And I do not think the fans are going to forget about her because you know what?
No way.
I don't think this is the last we're going to see of her.
No way. No, we're going to get more of her. She'll pop up in the Royal Rumble probably at some point again.
Now, please, Shawn
I-
Michaels, Anthem Sports, hear my plea. You know this thing you do with the women? I think it's great. It's awesome. I want to see more of it. You can do the same thing with the men.
How about
Please.
yeah, yeah,
Moose, Mustafa Ali. Fuck it, bring back Moose's whole stable. You got Eddie Edwards in there. You got fucking Brian Myers in there. Why, just have them show up in WWE and just start fucking everyone up. Could you imagine? Imagine the system just showing up in NXT?
I'm shocked you didn't say a certain name that I'm sure people are waiting for you to say. But I mean, I get it. I get it. No, fuck him. I mean, it's like Beetlejuice. Say his name and he'll appear, right?
Oh, I don't want to jinx it. So
no.
Castle review where hopefully it happens.
Clash at the Castle or another certain NXT Battle Royal that's going on next week. You never know. You never know.
But
hopefully,
you know, there's another reason why I don't want to say his name, because he will appear if I do it, and not quite prepared for that right now. That's all I'll say.
Yep, and me doing that stupid ass smile is all we'll say. So, with that said, it's time for our main event. Speaking of Forbidden Doors, who do we got challenging for the world title?
Trick Williams is challenging All Ego Ethan Page for the NXT Championship, and this isn't quite a Forbidden Door thing. Ethan Page has signed a contract with WWE. He finished up shop with AEW, I think, last month, and they kept him a secret. This was so cool. Cesar Bononi, former NXT star, current AEW star, was actually keeping Jordynne Grace and Ethan Page in his garage. He was hiding them there so they can make their WWE debuts with nobody finding out. I love that. You know what I say about
kayfabe is alive.
Wrestling. I hate how everything is spoiled for me. And the fact that both Jordynne Grace and Ethan Page were kept as a surprise was really freaking cool. Over the past couple of weeks of NXT, Metaphor has suffered backstage attacks from somebody. We don't know who it was. I think even Trick Williams was attacked, which Williams was not able to defend the NXT title against Noam Dar because of that. The attacker was revealed, and it was Ethan Page. And Ethan Page, kayfabe-wise, working without a contract. He came to NXT and he demanded that Ava sign him to an NXT contract. Ava didn't want to do it because his demands were too ridiculous. Trick Williams then comes out and says, sign him because I want to whoop his ass. I want to whoop that Trick. And Ava signs the contract, and Ethan Page says, you fool, you stepped right into my trap. Because if you would have read the contract, you would have saw, I get an NXT title shot, and it's going to happen at Battleground. Very bold, by the way, by WWE to wait until the go-home episode of Battleground to announce the main event.
Yeah. If Trick Williams is in the ring and he's saying he's going to whoop that Trick on his opponent, isn't that a little bit counterintuitive? Because if he's going to whoop that Trick, does that mean he's going to whoop himself?
You know, I thought about that for the longest time. But then again, the fan Kurt Angle that he sucks and he embraces it.
No, that's very true. That's very true. And like honestly, if you were to say whoop that Trick way too fast, if there was a Freudian slip of the tongue, boy, it would be a lot cruder of a statement, that's for sure, and it wouldn't be a PG product. No, we're not doing that. Not doing that.
But then again, when the fans say you suck to Kurt Angle, he looked at the audience and said, "Thank you." And Enzo Amore said, "Why are you saying thank you? They just said you suck." Like, you don't get it, Enzo.
You don't get it.
Fans, we have a special connection with him. Okay?
Well, see if
it's not yours to get.
Yeah, see if Enzo Amore was actually a wrestling fan and he actually, studied up on the subject of professional wrestling before he was signed on, he would have gotten that. But
anywho, we're not here to talk about Enzo. We're here to talk about Ethan Page and Trick Williams. Considering the build was pretty thrown together, I mean, from Ethan's original debut of NXT, I thought it was fine. They did a really good job of making Ethan Page a really big fucking deal when he's never wrestled a match here. Ethan Page is a great promo. He cut a fantastic promo.
Damn right he is.
And I think, I don't want to say sky's the limit, but I want to see where Ethan Page can go in WWE. I don't want to put my chips on him because, I mean, yeah, you don't know what's going to, I don't want to say he's overrated or anything, but I think he's great. I loved watching him in TNA. I love watching him in NXT, but clearly he needs to be in NXT, not to develop more, but just like, let's see what kind of star they can mold Ethan Page into. He's got all the tools.
Yeah, he does. He does. And
All
not to
right
say that age is a factor in terms of somebody's ceiling. Case in point, LA Knight on the main roster is in his 40s, and he's just about to win the United States Championship from Logan Paul this summer.
We'll see.
But yeah, no, he's going to. He's going to. But Ethan Page, by comparison, let's put him side by side with Lexis King, right? Somebody else who came from a similar cloth. Lexis King, to my knowledge, is in his late 20s. And he's in developmental. He's in NXT. He's got this really well-rounded character. Ethan Page is pretty much the exact same, I don't want to say basic cookie cutter style wrestler, because he's not. He's got the nickname and he's got the presence and the swagger and all that. Ethan Page is 34 years old though. So I don't want to say that his ceiling is lower than Lexis King, but I definitely see what people are saying, that they don't want to put all their chips in on Ethan Page. But I've been a big believer in him since day one. So I'm rooting for Ethan Page. I hope that he succeeds. Even though he was unsuccessful in winning the championship tonight, I really hope that he, ascends to the top. I would really love to see that. But in regards to... Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a big fight feel in this match. Trick Williams is very over with the crowd. Trick Williams just won the NXT Championship a couple months ago from Ilya Dragunov.
Yes.
So he is on his own, and he is able to finally see how he can do as a single star. I think he's been doing great. I love Trick Williams. I'm a big Trick Williams fan. The biggest issue with this match was, number one, it's Ethan's first match in WWE. So I wish they could have gone a little crazier, but they gave this world title main event 12 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like a TV. It felt like a TV main event. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view main event. That's my big issue.
Yeah,
like
TV main events get at least 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these guys were never allowed to hit like third gear. They never really got into that crazy big spot after big spot, near fall after near fall, which I think these guys could do easily. There was not a lot of drama to this. I just feel like the match hit second gear and then it just ended.
Yeah, I mean there was
on the outside of the ring.
There was an announce table spot. I don't remember if it was Ego's Edge or anything, but the Trick Williams goes through an announce table. There's a point where they're brawling in the ring. They go back. Trick Williams hits a rock bottom for a 2 count. And
I'm gonna let that slide because they actually called it a rock bottom in the match.
Yeah. Even though he's using a lot of Booker T's offense, and Booker T also used the rock bottom, but
Booker T used the bookend.
No, he used the rock bottom. It's the same fucking move. We've been over this. We have been over this a million times on this podcast.
That's the joke.
I know.
Bottom, get it? Well, Booker T was the book and the end of the book, the bottom of the rock.
Oh.
You get it now, jabroni?
The bottom. It's the bottom of the rock, so his feet? He's had it with me. This podcast has gone off the rails.
Williams, it's a good wrestler.
He is. He reminds me of a 2003 babyface Booker T, who wasn't a world champion at that point. I mean, he's the NXT champion. That's fine. I don't know. I mean, I think it's cool to see him, ascend to the top and naturally get to the NXT championship because he's so over with the fans. I don't know. For me, I was looking at this, and this is Ethan Page's debut. Why not have him beat Trick Williams here? Why not cause some chaos? In terms of the story, I'm fine with short title reigns. I understand why Trick Williams won here. But a short title reign is okay if it is a better serve to the overall story that you're trying to tell. Because Trick Williams retains against Ethan Page. What's next for him? What's next? He just goes and
I think...
What does he do?
If he lost the title.
Ethan Page is a man who doesn't really have a contract in kayfabe, and he's running around with the NXT title, and it's chaos.
Kayfabe, though.
Yeah. Now that you say that,
contract on Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's how we got this title match.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah.
So here's my thing. Okay, so basically the finish of the match was after that announce table spot. I feel like they just got in the ring, exchanged a couple of moves. Trick Williams hit a trick shot. That's it. That's the end of the match.
Yeah.
I wanted more drama to this. I wanted a match that I feel like I know these two guys can put on. I'll give it 3.25.
The same. Good match, but
yeah.
not great.
I'm okay with Trick Williams retaining, and here's my thing. Trick Williams is organically very over with the crowd. I feel like they fucked him out of the NXT North American title when he won it for one night or 2 nights and dropped it right back to Dominic Mysterio. I feel like that was WWE's way of saying, if we put a title on this guy per se, are the fans going to care? And they care. And I loved seeing Williams really ascend to the top very organically. I feel like he's been an overnight sensation. And I would love to see him run with this ball a little more.
Yeah.
Ethan Page can win the title, I feel like, whenever. And when Shawn Michaels is really good at, he's really good at booking people so consistently that if they lose a title match and and looking good in defeat, he can slide them right into a feud with somebody else, and it's going to be very good. Metaphor. He attacked Metaphor, and I forget his name. Osa Mensa. Ora Mensa.
Yep, there it is.
Ora Mensa. Ora Mensa attacked Ethan Page not only after NXT, but the day of the pay-per-view. So you could easily slide Ethan Page into a feud with Metaphor, and he could easily fight Noam Dar at the next pay-per-view. There is stuff to do. I don't want them to blow their load on Ethan Page right away because I feel like it's the same thing for him. He wins the title, he holds it for a few months, then what?
Yeah.
I want to see Ethan Page flourish in NXT for a while so he can be 100% ready for the main roster because I think he's going to do great on the main roster.
Oh, I totally agree. You know,
Shawn Michaels like to do?
Cody's going to take care of him. Cody's going to take care of Ethan Page. He's going to take care of Lexis King. He's going to take care of Shawn Spears. All those former AEW guys like that he alluded to and that he had a meeting with on the last episode of NXT. He's going to take care of them long term.
Did you see the backstage segment Cody had with Shawn Spears?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
You guys look like you're doing well for yourselves.
Yeah, without saying AEW by name. And notice how the crowd did not chant AEW during that segment at all. Good. Not at all. Yeah, good.
Now,
good, because they don't deserve the attention.
What needs to happen next. We need to get QT Marshall. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Yeah, well, Ricky Starks is on his way over too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as if he's a manager, he's allowed to bring jeans and not just come out like Randy Orton, right?
Yeah, 100%. NXT Battleground. I feel comfortable giving a solid 7.
Same.
Not a horrible show, not a fantastic show, but I know NXT can do better.
Yeah. No, I know they can too.
It's a better show. But I will say I am very happy we're looking at NXT again. I think NXT is only going to get better from here. And under the reins of Shawn Michaels, I think it's in a very good spot right now. If Bruce Pritchard gets anywhere near NXT again, I have some very large, muscular friends that can take care of him.
Yeah. So on... I don't even know how to respond to that, but yeah, I mean, good show, not great show. I know a lot of people love this show, and that's totally fine. I just would like, if this was going to be an instant classic pay-per-view that was on the caliber of the old takeovers, like, they needed to be more eventful. You know, like, we didn't have, like, the most eventful thing was Dana Brooke coming back, and I've never really been a Dana Brooke fan, so I think that's part of it. So, yeah. So with that in mind, hit that... Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up. Yeah.
Stay tuned for our Clash of the Castle review coming up this Saturday. Then we will be doing AEW Forbidden Door. NXT Heatwave, you said, is Money in the Bank weekend.
Yep.
And we will be doing Money in the Bank. And also, happy birthday to me. Money in the Bank is on my 30th birthday.
Hell.
Fucking old.
Yeah. Hell yeah,
I'm going to celebrate it the only way I know how, by watching some goddamn wrestling.
Hell fucking yeah, you are. Happy early birthday to my friend over here, my co-host Tomas. Even though these podcasts usually like fall off a cliff at some point with our nonsense. I mean, it's too much fun, my friends. But
why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? We're just two geeks talking about wrestling.
Wait until we talk about Royal Rumble 06. Oh, there's going to be some yelling during that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, stay tuned for that. Hopefully we'll get it out within the next couple weeks or so. It'll probably be after we do Clash at the Castle this weekend, but hit that subscribe button. Like I said, hit that thumbs up as well. Yeah, I think that just about does it, my friends. Stay tuned for the next one.